Hello, and thank you for joining us with Moss Talks, where we have more culture and more conversations. I'm Joel, co-founder, creative director for Moss Magazine.
And I'm Sydney, co-founder, editorial director of Moss Magazine.
So today, Sydney, we're going to talk about art. I'm pretty sure you've been to a museum before.
Duh.
Uh, All right.
You think I'm uncultured?
I ain't say that. But I'm just saying, like, when we go to museums, I think it's very important the space that museums curate. If someone were to put this art in their apartment and call it a museum, it would really have to relate to the viewer, I'd say.
I mean, I grew up obsessed with like the science and the history museum just
Mhm.
because I don't know, I just like going and like discovering things for the first time, you know, and just like exploring the space and seeing everything that was on exhibit. I always just thought that was really cool. And like same thing for like art museums, even though like that's more, like classified and
Yeah.
things are a little bit more spread out.
Mhm.
And people are very like slow moving
Mhm.
in an art museum because like you do take in everything you see.
That's one thing I miss about childhood, going to science museums, because you're so enamored by what's going on, like all the little exhibits, all the little things you can touch and do. And honestly, thinking about it again with kids, it's probably it wasn't the best thing for us to be touching and doing everything together,
Oh
because
yeah.
it's just a petri dish for things to happen. But and then I will say it's very necessary because kids need to be able to have that tangible feeling of what's going on, like how does this work? What happens if you put baking soda and vinegar together? Like just just things that kind of like teach them how to, or like kind of help them understand more about science, I guess, or anything that pertains to it.
Yeah. And then like I said, like as you get older, you understand more. So like when you're younger, you're just looking with your eyes, but then as you get older, you start reading. And then like
Mhm.
you get even older and it starts to connect and you're like, oh,
I would say it's not even like I don't think it starts connecting you older. I think it connects also when you're younger too, because one of the things with being a child, like in certain households, it's like I won't say bad things happen, but certain things happen for a reason. Like in the old days, it was where you touch something hot, you get your hand off the hot stove, and so
oh
now it's
yeah.
a. I'm saying, but nowadays it's more childproof, which is necessary because you don't want your child to burn their hand and get a lifetime scar. But the connection happens where it triggers that reaction in the body to where I need to move my hand away, or I need to do this, or this is what happens when this happens. And it also comes back to that question, why? Like literally, why? Like when you tell a kid not to do something, they need to know why. They can't just tell them, oh, don't do this, and then they're like, okay. They're like, I'm gonna do it again because I ain't that mad. But
Yeah. Yeah.
have you ever painted before?
Yes.
Mm. What did you
Um,
paint?
I don't know, like you paint as a kid, of course, but then like paint by the numbers. Oh, actually, when I was in French class, we had a whole unit on French art. Don't know why, but we did. I think it was a culture thing. And like at the end of the unit, we had to like recreate one of like the artist's work. So I tried a really nice painting. It was like textured. I don't even remember what the form of art expression was called or whatever, but I used to have that hanging up in my room for a big minute. And then of course, me and you did the follow the what's his name? The painter who like
Bob
paints the
Ross.
trees. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
we did one of those. That was a little hard
that wasn't that hard.
for you. It was hard for me. I wasn't trusting the process.
I used to paint for a while, so maybe it was easier for me. But I've always been dabbling in the arts. Like I like to try every medium I come across. Like I was drawing a lot in high school, I literally like every day. And then when it came out to like college or whatnot, I started painting. And like in quarantine, I was painting too. But then like it led to a plethora of back problems. Like because I didn't have an easel, didn't have a chair to sit in. Like I was literally painting on the floor. So yeah, so just imagine that just leaned over the whole time.
Okay, so what about like other forms of physical art? Like, have you ever messed around with clay or like fabric, like sewing or knitting, crocheting?
I would say I always wanted to get into sewing, but obviously with how my household was set up, I wasn't able to do that. I did get into Copics, which is another form of like drawing stuff. I did spray paint too, I need to get back into that. I need to get into tips for my spray paint cans. But yeah,
What were you
I
spray painting?
like I would start with phone cases or whatnot. Then I started canvas.
Oh, I thought you were going around tagging stuff.
Oh no, no. What other forms have you got into a physical art?
Well, I used to sew. I grew up wanting to be a fashion designer. So
Mm,
I at first was sewing like by hand with the needle, which
mm,
honestly I do kind of prefer. I don't know why. I just like touching it. And then
mm,
I like upgraded and learned how to use a sewing machine. And I think the reason I don't like a sewing machine is because I hate threading it, like the little bobbin at the very bottom.
mm.
For those who sew, you know what I'm talking about. I
I know
just
what you're
hate
talking
that
about.
process.
Hmm.
Yes. Um, and like I just used to like make random stuff and like I learned how to read patterns and things. Um, so I think that was like the biggest other form of art, like physical art I was doing. I don't know how to play any instruments. Well, I mean, no, not even. I was gonna say the recorder, but I'm pretty bad at that as well. Um, so yeah, it was really just I think just sewing for me. I want to learn how to knit, but it's not as easy as the grandmas make it look.
Yeah, I would say you don't have to make it a little easy. Say I forgot I did play instruments. I used to play the piano and drums. That's fun. Piano was one of the things that kind of led me to drums because Lord forgive me, but at the time I was learning piano, I didn't like my piano instructor at all. Like I did not. Like I was learning it, but at the same time I was like, it just
Were they strict?
uh, it was strict. It was a necessary strict. If it was a strictness I didn't understand at that age, so I didn't like them at that time. But then
Mhm.
when it came to drums, kind of the same thing. Um I had an instructor, but it wasn't. I, I don't know because I think he was kind of a gimmick because he called himself a doctor and like there's nothing for me to us to believe that he was.
Did you
So
ever ask him if he had a PhD?
mm-mm, no,
I would ask
because
him.
because at the same time it wasn't myself who employed him or my parents. Like it was we were training with someone else,
Mhm.
so it was like we didn't care because it was free to us.
So it's like the piano and the drums. Is it like a bike? Like if you could you pick it back up now?
I say piano, yes. I know my chords with the piano. But well, with the drum, yes, same. I would say the drum's one of the easiest instruments to understand for anybody that wants to get into music because it's literally like if you have rhythm and you kind of like if you watch somebody long enough, you kind of pick up on some things.
Mhm.
And so it's just kind of for me it's muscle memory. For other people, I think it's really easy for you to pick it up. It shouldn't like in my mind it shouldn't be that hard. But then again, you never know. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to Moss Talks. Today we had the pleasure of speaking with Brittany Glover about her experience as an artist and curator for Creative Thought. Thank you, Brittany, for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So I want to kind of dive deep into it from the get-go. Where do you draw your inspiration from?
Um, Everyday life, things that people go through, my culture, of course, and also, some of the experiences I've had personally that I feel like would resonate with other people. A lot of my work I feel like speaks to me personally first, so I create it in hopes that it would speak to someone, as well as inspiring me to keep going too.
So, like, as an artist, you always have these projects you're working on. You always doing multiple things at once. How do you focus on finishing a piece?
To be honest with you, as an artist, I kind of have gotten away from that because I feel like it's a unfair time limit to put on it. I know in the age of social media and things are so microwave, but I try to like create multiple pieces at a time. So like I might have something that's more simple that I can finish quicker. And then I may have something that's a little more detailed, but I like to spend as much time as I can with the piece and not rush it too much. As an artist, I always find myself even like when it's finished, I always, want to add something else. So it's an ongoing journey for certain pieces.
I saw that you do have a background and a degree in architecture. So I want to know what led you to explore like your creativity outside of that.
So like I said before, I actually my first passion was art. So I went to an art school which had basically a architecture niche as well. So they taught us art as well as architecture, and so that actually piqued my interest on it as well. And I had to the opportunity to shadow actual architects and creatives. So it's something that I saw myself being able to do outside of art.
Do you like do anything now related to architecture?
Sometimes I might have a client that might ask for something like a floor plan or certain ideas. And just recently I had someone also reach out. So hopefully I get to continue to use that gift as well because, I spent a lot of time and money on that degree. So I would love to still explore that. And a lot of my work in school was related to like urban design. So it really connects with art, in my opinion.
Is there a certain medium you haven't tried yet that you want to explore?
Definitely. I would love to do a lot more like animation, like turning my 2D work into something 3D.
Mhm.
That's something that I always wanted to do, and I feel like it ties in my architecture career and background. So hopefully soon I can like merge those two together. That would definitely be awesome.
But yeah, you
Yeah,
definitely can. I believe in you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
no, for real, that would be so cool. I personally, I really love animation because I feel like people like think animation, they think for kids, by kids, but it's like no, like you can tell really beautiful stories
Exactly,
in that
exactly.
medium. Yeah. So could you tell us more about creative thought and like your role within it?
So it's actually creative thoughts with the S on it.
Mm.
Initially when I set out to go full time, I wanted to have a certain framework where people could reach out in a certain way, whether it be to get inspired or to just see art online outside of like a gallery setting. And I also wanted to have a online shop where people could go to buy prints, apparel, and accessory. Like I'm wearing one of my shirts that we have on the site. So this is one of my paintings that I feature on wearable art as well. So I just felt like it would be an easier way for me to like traffic people like to actually be able to support me or to be able to experience all the the pieces and the art that I'm creating.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
That's kind of like something we're doing with this magazine too. It's just creating that space for people to learn and explore and, support one another, especially within the community. So, mm,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's why exactly why I felt like this was a definitely a good collaboration.
yeah, absolutely.
If you were advising someone starting out as a creative, what advice would you give?
I would say definitely, think about um where you want to take it. Like I said with creative thoughts, I knew, that I had certain skills and talents, but I wanted to create a certain framework where it could actually become a career, and it could actually become something that I could generate revenue for my family, for my for other people who want to do what I'm doing. I can actually show them how to do it because I've done it too. So I think within, you know, being free to create different things, I feel like you also have to think about the business side of it too. I think that's the best advice I would give. And I wish I would have even early on thought about things because I feel like I would have been like a lot more ahead in certain areas.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, oh, go ahead, Joel.
No, I was say I agree. And I agree and I disagree because there are certain points where business is very important, but then to a certain point of running a creative business or running a creative business and turning it into a profitable business can sometimes ruin the creativity of it.
Absolutely. And that's actually a good point. I would say that, try to keep that part of it in the back of your mind for
Yeah.
sure in the beginning because you don't want to overwhelm yourself with certain thoughts that honestly will kind of uh flow and happen as they go along if you focus a lot on your creativity and just being able to provide like a quality product whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah. I use this rule whenever creating a project. I think it's very important to continue to do passion projects after you've made that the profit, or after you've done all
Hmm.
the stuff that keeps it running. Continue to do the things that you love that made you want to
Yeah,
start it in the first place.
I agree. I agree.
Otherwise, it just becomes work.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's no fun at all.
Yeah.
You'll
No.
lose your passion quick.
Yeah.
And can I ask you, like, how do you like keep your spark and like like how do you keep your passion burning?
I think it's, it goes back to like me being a kid and like just sketching in my sketchbook, like nobody telling me to do this, but it's something that I just love doing. So I try to keep that, in the back of my mind. And then also, in my experience and doing shows and, on social media, just the outpouring of inspiration that people find in it. I feel like as an artist, I have a duty to present myself, even if it's not in a business sense, but to just, have art be accessible to people. I feel like that's important. That's always been important for me. So it keeps me going for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We like to do a short segment. It's called Quick Fire. And so basically, I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and I just want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Got you.
Okay. So, dream place to have a gallery show,
London.
a song you would love to jam to,
Uh, I don't know. When?
physical or digital media,
Physical.
uh-huh. Favorite time to paint,
At night.
mm. And then favorite art supply store.
Michael's.
It's a classic. Love that you said London for your Dream Place gallery show. Like why London? Like what's the pull there?
Well, I really wanted to. I always like envisioned having a show and having it be like art and fashion themed. So I feel like that would be a good location, just because of
Hmm.
all the like the fashion culture that's there and the art culture as well.
Yeah, yeah. The perfect, mix of
Yeah,
everything.
and then people can get to it easily too. So I feel like that's a good spot.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
You surprised me. Your favorite time to paint is at night. Are you like a night owl?
You know what? I think it's just like it's quiet. And I think like as an artist, I just find myself being more creative at night. I don't know why. Like ideas come at night, so sometimes I'm writing down things in my sketchbook, and I'm just in that mode. So as a painter, like if you're in that mode, you gotta kind of like go with the flow, or you might, start getting that artist block. But I feel like at night, everybody's quiet most of the time. You can just vibe out and do your thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree, because at night you don't have nobody texting you. You might have somebody calling you
Exactly,
here and there,
exactly,
but
exactly,
you
exactly. And
you
then
ain't
like
doing it.
for
Okay.
content's sake, I can, stay up, create something that's like a teaser, and then, rest while everybody's enjoying whatever I created. So it's a
Yeah.
method. It's a method to the madness, I guess.
Yeah, and then this is me, but like also at night, like I like during the day, if I'm making something, I have the urge to tell someone else. So at night, if I'm not constantly contacted, if I'm not constantly
Hmm.
knowing people are up around me, I don't feel the
Hmm.
need to tell them about something that I'm making. So it gets more time
Hmm.
to sit with me and fester and become a good idea.
Definitely, I totally agree with that one.
Okay, and then last one, your favorite art supply store is Michael's. I 100% agree. I feel like there's just so much in the store, so many aisles. Like you can just walk in and kind of, find some inspiration. So can you just like tell us more about like why Michael's?
Well, I feel like that's one of those like one-stop shop types of stores. Like if I'm ever in need of anything, I could get it there. And if I
Hmm.
need this and that, I can get it there. Or like something odd that I, would have to go all the way over here for, they have it too. So I think it's pretty cool. And then I always get inspired when I'm in there. Like I see something that's like, oh, I want to, add a real flower to my piece, or I want to add this to my piece. Like so, it always keeps me on my toes with my like details in my pieces and stuff like
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, and
I,
they have great coupons too.
Oh
I'm,
man.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna stop you right there. All right, I agree to disagree. I'm gonna throw a wrench out in here because half the time I go to Michael's, like yeah, I get what I need and I got everything that I wanted, but when I get to that cash register, the discount that I want is already gone or
Uh,
it's not eligible unless you buy
yeah.
5 paintbrushes. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right. I'm like, you know what,
They get
Michael's.
you there. They get you
This,
there.
this the only Michael I don't like. We got Jordan and we got Jackson. This the Michael I don't like.
I feel you. I feel you. But that's how they get you. Like, hey, I definitely have been victim to like, all right, I gotta get 5 tubes of this paint. I'm gonna go get 5 tubes. And that way I don't have to come back. So I
Mhm.
mean, if you're an artist, I guess that makes more sense.
True.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we had for today. I just want to say
Awesome.
thank you for sitting down with us, and just telling us a little bit about your work and what you do. And for those watching, if you haven't already, please check out Brittany and her amazing artwork. We will leave all her information available for y'all to go check her out, follow her,
Yes,
and
thank you so
just keep updated with her, please.
I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you for the opportunity. And it was a great convo. I appreciate y'all.
But yeah,
Of
no
course,
problem.
thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Problem.
That was a great talk we had with Brittany. What we talked about mostly was mostly about how to stay focused on your art. I was like not really saying focused, but more about keeping it to yourself. Let's say that.
Keeping it to
Keeping it
yourself.
like keeping it for you before it goes out to the
Oh,
world. Letting it sit with you, letting it breathe, letting it give it time to grow on you or not grow on you, and then deciding whether you want to put it out there or not.
yeah. Yeah. I think that's fair. I can't really say for myself if I've
What did
ever
you?
really done that, just because like whenever I'm working on like a video or something, like it has a deadline and I have to get it out or
Yeah,
so I can't say that I've never had the opportunity to kind of just create and sit with it, but I hope that changes soon. But I create to
yeah,
produce.
I agree with that too because most like same thing with photography. Most photos I do like it has a deadline. Like I have a turnaround date. I have to have it done by a certain time. And even though like with my creative shoots, it's a matter of I like I'm the type whenever I do creative work just for myself, just passion projects. I have an idea and I execute it, like I shoot it or I make it, draw it, whatever. And it's like after I'm done doing that point, like I want to go and perfect it instantly after. I don't let it sit. I don't let it wander because it's like if this is just me again, if I let it go on too far, it'll just sit there. Like it'll just be
Mm,
like
yeah.
it will cease to exist for me.
Yeah. I think this kind of just makes me like reflect and just like I think I want to start creating for me to some
Mhm.
capacity because I don't think I do that at all. Like I really just absorb and absorb. Like I read and I watch, but I don't think I ever just create to create. I think I
Mhm.
want to start doing that, you know?
Oh, so yeah, and like especially like with your experience with film, this adds on to what we were saying earlier. Like like we said, sitting with your art. Um, the production of like films or like even like a photo set, like the production that goes into like big sets, like having like a stylist, having a model assistant, having
Makeup artists, you have people who work with talent only, you have,
having
your
light tech,
producers, you have your lighters, you have your gaffers, you have your grips, you have your production assistant. And yeah,
and
it's
then
a lot.
let's not talk about the people that are there to capture BTS as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like having to like the scariest thing in capturing BTS is like having to maneuver everybody's there because like you don't want to bump into anybody, and it's like
You don't
how I
want to
say
you don't want to be in the way, but like you have to be in the way to get the
yeah.
BTS. But then you're
Hmm.
also like you don't want to mess up or slow down production itself. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Because
yeah,
it's like you're important, but you have to remember that you're looked over, if that makes sense. Like you
yeah,
have to kind of like be aware that you have to be out the way, but in the
yeah,
way, which is
yeah,
weird.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what I was saying, but with production with sets is like it reminds you that it takes time because like Brittany said, like most of the things now are just microwaves. Like it's got to be instantaneous. It's got to be done fast. It's like how do I get to the money now, or how do I get to this point now? And like with sets, it's like the production really matters. Like or it used to matter at least before we had everything we have now. Like it had to be set planning. It had to be see how make sure the light looks good, make sure the model looks good, make sure the dress is right, make sure this is right, make sure she's not looking this way, make sure it gives off this emotion, make sure it
Yeah.
everything comes up to this culminating point.
That in
And
itself is like art. Like just thinking about it, like how sets were
it's
before we had like heavy, super heavy CGI and stuff. Like just thinking about all the thoughts that went into like practical like action. I don't even like you had to plan things out. You had to plan out your camera. You had to like mark that through and like if you had to do an effect in real time, like that takes time in itself. Like that was just like so beautiful. And I feel like we rarely
yeah, we
get it
don't.
now.
I think some of the downfall of that all is due to there's fault in both areas where it was small sets and like Hollywood or whatever you want to call it, bigger productions. Like bigger productions have had made it to a point where this is where we are. This is unattainable. You have to have X amount of dollars, X amount of people, X amount of stuff to get to this point. Like you have to get this to get this. And so like then when people on when the smaller sets started becoming actually getting good, getting like making impact in some areas, the bigger sets started figuring out how to make the bigger production easier, if that makes sense. Like it
In
started
corners.
like instead of it just being like a big old hill to climb, it started to slightly tilt. And so now how well bigger sets are starting to slide down here with the smaller people, and it's becoming just as I say just a big old glob. Like there are obvious differences on different sides, but it's all just it they each side wants to make it seem very easy. That's the main thing here, like being easy. Like it
I
doesn't
think
they
what
don't
it is that big productions, Hollywood, they rely too heavily now on like technology and using that to cut corners. Whereas with
yeah.
indie sets and like, like just the whole independent things, like their movies are phenomenal because they have to be super creative to get the things that they want and more practical and a little bit more raw. And I feel like people like miss that. And that makes a good movie, like I don't want
Yeah.
to see a bunch of CGI mixed into here, anime like how I was saying about Transformers and how 2000 Transformers is up here and that 2018 Bumblebee was not it. It was too much animation. No, no. Like that's what I mean. Like I feel like indie is doing so much better now because you don't have money for all that advanced technology stuff. Like you just have to do things. Like you just got to make it happen. And
I
like
have a
that looks better versus computer generated whatever.
yeah,
Just
I have a theory, and this theory has came from me being in high school till like the person I am now. I have a theory. I don't know what age I came up with this at. I don't know when I came up with this, by the way. So just bear with me on that.
hmm
But I have a theory. I believe that everything will come back around to the way it was, like
that's
back
not
back.
that's
No,
the
no, no, no.
truth. That's the
No,
truth.
I mean, no, no, no. Like it's not, I wouldn't say it's the truth per se because like it's not in the way that you're thinking. Not the way that not the way that I think you're thinking. Because what I'm saying is like we're always advancing in tech. We're always looking to improve as a society or like advance in some way. And so with those advancements comes necessary evils, necessary good, and necessary outliers. And so with those outliers and all this stuff that's going on, I feel like basically there's this thing with this business model that changed significantly in culture where it used to be where it didn't matter if a business had a bad month, they never laid anybody off unless they really needed to.
Mhm.
Like whereas now it's like they'll lay off anybody just to make an extra dollar every year.
I see what you're
And
saying.
so I believe that like that things will turn around to where where the little people will be cared about again, where small businesses will change the way big businesses do business because there are thousands or millions of people in these small little areas that care about people that are not allowing the big business to control everything that's going on anymore.
Yeah, and I also think like just the writer strikes and everything happening in Hollywood, actor strike, like that also opened a bunch of people's, like it opened my eyes. Like that's the whole reason why I am currently not in production at all, is because of how that all went down and how it was handled. And it just made me realize, like, like for years I like wanted to be at Disney. I want to work in Disney. I want to do TV, kids TV, but I don't want to work for Disney anymore. Like I don't want to be part of that big corporation, even though I still have that passion to like
Yeah.
do like children programming. I don't want to do it through Disney or like any big corporation in that way.
Yeah, and also one thing I'm realizing with my theory is it might just be that my generation or the generation that I'm experiencing and viewing is growing up because when I was growing up, like it was well, I'm growing up now, but I'm saying like well, as I'm growing, like from high school to that transition to college, like it was purely a rebellious period. It was purely just me just wanting to be myself, really express myself. And so now as I get older, as I go on year, month on month, I start to realize that I'm more like my parents than I ever was. Like I'm more like the people that raised me than I ever wanted to admit that I was.
Mm.
And so like I'm not necessarily becoming them, but I'm reimagining the old ways. I'm not changing them. I'm not making them to be bad. I'm not making them to be any certain type of thing, but I'm changing them to be better for the world that I'm growing into.
Yeah. You're just like
Whereas
kind of, oh, go ahead.
like you know how like the thing in terms of like buying cars, like probably let's say 30 years ago, like there's this top notch car everybody wanted because it went fast, and then obviously like middle class they were like well, they want this car because it runs well. Whereas like as we get older, there those cars still exist, but now like even though I want the fast car, even though I want that big thing, I'm still continuing on that same line of being this is a great car. This gets me from point A to point B, stays on gas, has air conditioning, has electric windows, and like goes as fast as I needed to go. And
You know
like
what
that's
that's called?
already
Yeah, that frontal lobe is developing. Hmm. That's what that's called. That's called
but
25.
but don't get me wrong. I still want those fast things. I still want them. But it's just that's maybe the car analogy wasn't a good one, but it's just that the things that are continuing to happen in my parents' life are happening for me.
I was talking to my grandpa about this today, and he was just telling me, because we were just talking about age, and he was like how like my parents, they were 22, well my mom was 22, and like out of college, got married, bought a house, had a kid, and he was like, those are three big milestones, and every time I almost fainted. But like when you think about it, like it made sense for them at that time, like they could do that, and like it
And
just made sense for them versus me and like wanting to wait and kind of just live my life now and enjoy my 20s as they are and like relearn myself. My sister, she wants to travel and stuff and like find herself in her 20s. So it's just like, taking things on different paces and like kind of reconnecting with who you are, now that you are out of your teenage years and going into
yeah,
like your adulthood.
the one thing that I hate that I haven't seen change that needs to change tomorrow is real estate and the economy.
Oh my God.
ASAP.
Who are you telling? You already know what
ASAP.
my big dream is. So I'm just
ASAP.
waiting. I'm waiting for it to happen.
ASAP. But yeah, because I remember when we were going, well, I don't know if you experienced this, but like going to college and like hearing about Forex, all these people want to invest, like go get a little investment group together.
Didn't fall for
The,
that. No, I did
the,
not fall for that. I ran the opposite way. I heard Forex. I said blocked.
like I'm not even gonna lie, I was interested because like the way things were going, I was like quarantine was happening. I was like,
Well,
I
yeah,
need
you're the demographic they target.
exactly, I needed some money. I need some money. Do you need $1? Yes. Yes. But 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 yeah, like see also like the thing that always deterred me when I saw them like um
How did we get
it's
here?
very it's huh?
How did we
Say it
get
again?
here? How did we get here?
That's not important. It's very cultish. That's the biggest thing. It's very cultish, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's cultish. It's just like it's just weird. Like you mean tell me a guy from Atlanta is gonna fly here for 3 hours in the three-piece suit with pinstripes and tell me how to make $10,000 in a day?
I mean, like y'all had Forex and then we had like whatever
Bitcoin,
like the no not big we all had that too. But on the girl side
Dogecoin.
of it, it was like the workout plans and like the diet plans and like it was all like a big scheme. I know you don't know what that is because it wasn't for your demographic, it was
No,
for
no,
my
no, y'all,
demographic.
y'all fell for that.
I didn't fall for that, but
See that
I
that's exactly why.
I slowly watched people I knew fall for it and I would just block them and send them
I'm
on about their way.
I'm glad you brought that up because I remember seeing those. I do know you're talking about because like that was big time where like influencer was a big thing. Like content creation. It wasn't called content creation. It was called influencing. And
This
so
was like
like
2019, 2020.
at that time the Paul brothers were popping. Yeah, it was
What?
called influence. Never mind. It was called influencer. The influencers would always put out, oh, this is how you get a flat tummy. This is how you get the big bumps. This is how you get the big arms, or the flat, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want it. And they would market it in a way that it would be like, oh, like if you do this too, you'll look just like me. But in
And no,
reality,
no, no. And then they'll be like, and then you can teach others how to do it and make
oh yeah,
money
that too.
from it.
See that's always that's always the thing. Like one thing I've learned is that there are like I forgot how many steps are, but there are steps to becoming like when in terms of releasing yourself from a drug like alcohol, whatever it may be, like crack, cocaine, whatever you want to call it, a hard drug, releasing yourself from the drug. Like after you realize, like, oh, I have this. Oh, I'm gonna go this far without it, and you continue to go without it. The last final step to being without that one drug is giving it to someone else. Like not giving the drug to someone else, but like showing someone else the way. Let's say. And
Oh.
like that, I realized that comes down to so many other things. Like it comes down to not even though let's say it started with Alcoholics Anonymous, people took that model and like have taken it to fitness influencing, to content creation, to like even just like to like couponing at a store. Like you know how you go to a store, your mom will tell you, she said, get this app, you'll get 20% off your bread this week.
I'll fall for that.
But the kicker is she'd be like, if you use the app, use my code. And I'd be like, what? I'm like, what is this? Who are you? And like that's another thing too. Like why if I go on YouTube, I don't want to like I
Let's
appreciate y'all
wrap
for I
let's
I
wrap it up. You're ranting.
I
Let's
appreciate
reel it in. Okay, can you please end the episode? I have to use the bathroom. Please end the episode.
Uh, that's nothing. I appreciate y'all. I'm in with this. I appreciate y'all for having the money to support a YouTube channel. But please, if I can't use multiple ones in Squarespace, um, coupons or whatever you want to call them, the 10% off, I don't want to see it. The little 10% don't be doing enough because I need to maximize. That's nothing. See, that's another
Shout,
thing
hey,
too.
hey, shout out
See,
to the Read podcast because I definitely used y'all's code when we set up Moss Magazine's website.
yeah,
Thank you.
shout out to the Reed, but like I think all that went away when McDonald's gave up the dollar menu.
Okay, thanks guys for listening. Um, we really enjoy speaking with Brittany today.
Mhm.
Please follow her work. She's super duper incredibly talented and she's very active within her community and she is making art accessible to those around her. So please support her, please check her out. And please tune in next week for another episode of Moss Talks with Joel and
Yeah,
I. We promise we won't rant on that episode.
We.
And please like, share, comment wherever you're listening from. Follow us on Instagram. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week.